Hi. How's everyone doing today? Good, good. Well, I'm Crystal, and I'm here from Mountaineer, and I'm going to share in the next 20 minutes some amazing things about the Canadian Rockies and the beautiful Mountaineer. So we've actually been in business for 30 years now. Super excited because 2020 is our 30th anniversary. Small family-owned company, and now we've kind of grown to just this amazing 3 routes now, and operating in southwestern Canada. So I'm going to show you a quick map of where we travel. So this gives you a snapshot. We only do southwestern Canada, one corner of the world, but I think we do it perfectly. I'm a little biased, but but as you can see here, we have 3 different rail routes, and then we also have a Canadian Rockies land experience. So what's so special about Mountaineer is that we combine luxury train travel with a Canadian Rockies land experience. Another amazing thing, we're a daylight-only train travel company. So don't think about those sleeper cars. We're going to put you in nice hotels on your overnights here. And as you can see here, we've got 3 routes, 2 that go to Jasper and 1 that goes to Lake Louise and Banff, either originating out of Vancouver or Calgary. So if you started in Vancouver, you'd do your rail routes first, and then you would do your land experience in the Rockies, and vice versa. If you wanted to do a westbound trip, you'd start in Calgary, you'd do your Canadian Rockies land experience first, and then you'd jump on the train heading back towards Vancouver. And a little bit later, as we get into the presentation, I'm going to tell you how to combine 2 rail routes and really get a round trip out of Vancouver. It's a really cool way that we do that as well. So I'll start by giving you a snapshot of Mountaineer. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the extraordinary experience in the Canadian Rockies. So today, in our short time that we have, I'm going to take you through planning your perfect trip. So we're going to start with describing a little bit about what your day on board the train will be like, and then we're going to plan by picking our service level. So which train car do you want to take when you get on our trains? Then we're going to talk about the routes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 3 routes that we do, where we go, a little bit about what to expect, and then we're going to talk about the season. So we only operate about 6 months of the year, but it's still 3 very distinct seasons. So I'm going to give you some insight on that, and then we're going to wrap up by I'll tell you all about the promotions that we have going on. So we'll start with a typical day on board the train. Typical day on board the train tends to be about 10 hours of train travel, which may sound like a lot, but I'll tell you. I just went on the train in October, and I brought a backpack of magazines that I've been meaning to read and a book, and I never even cracked open one of them. Because by the time you get greeted by our amazing train host, they tell you stories about the history of the area that you're going through, the wildlife sightings. By the time you do all that, it's time to eat again. So, it's such a packed experience and a great way to kind of experience that. So you'll arrive at our train stations, we'll roll out the red carpet for you, and we'll welcome you into the Mountaineer family. And then you'll get on board the trains, where anywhere from about 2 to 4 train hosts, depending on the train car, will be there to guide your experience. So again, they're going to tell you about the history of the area through storytelling, wildlife sightings. A lot of them are even local to the area, so they have a lot of local anecdotes to add as well. And then, of course, the culinary experience. We do a lot of regional cuisine. So you're going to get a lot of those flavors of southwestern Canada. Beef from Alberta, salmon from the Fraser River, all accompanied by all-inclusive drinks. So that's beer, wine, and spirits. And we love to do regional pairings with that as well. So wine from the Okanagan Valley, you can't beat that. A lot of local breweries and things like that as well. So we're going to pamper you when you're on board the train, and we're really going to have that experience for you there. So the first thing you need to think about when you're planning our trip is our service level. And what we mean by service level is we're referring to the type of train car that you would like. So I'm going to start with the Goldleaf train car. This is our bi-level custom-built dome coach. You're going to have 3 very distinct areas with this coach, and as you see here, you've got those beautiful panoramic windows. All of the Rocky Mountaineer train cars are specially designed just for us, so you can rest assured this is something you're not going to get anywhere else. But the first part about your train coach here is the upstairs area. This is where your assigned seating will be, and this picture doesn't even do it justice. You can see almost unobstructed views except for a small strip over your head. It is amazing for taking in that scenery, pictures out the windows there, and just really almost at sometimes you feel like you're going through the trees and the clouds here. It's a great experience. Another thing I'll point out here is the chairs. Big, plush, reclining chairs, lots of space above your head, at your feet. I was actually on a departure with a man who was 7'2", and he remarked the entire time about how much space he had. He said, you know, I ride on planes, trains, automobiles, and I'm always uncomfortable. And he just loved how much space he had here. So that gives you an idea. Lots of space to get up and maybe meet with your neighbors, kind of enjoy some socialization here. Also, for your dining here on the Goldleaf Car, we're going to have an exclusive dining room. That'll be in the downstairs area, which you can get there by descending on the stairs, or there's also an elevator. And the dining area here is going to be very much like a restaurant seated and served setting. So you're going to sit down. You'll have a menu with about 2 to 3 appetizer choices, 4 to 5 entree choices, and we're going to course it out along with pairings and have you enjoy. Again, daylight-only train travel, so you're going to be having breakfast and lunch here on the train. So it's a great experience, very restaurant style, and 2 of the train hosts will be down here to facilitate your meals there as well. And then my favorite area of this Goldleaf Car is the outdoor viewing platform. Can fit about 15 to 20 people comfortably. So a typical Goldleaf Car is about 60 to 65 people. So people will rotate throughout this platform here. Great place to stretch your legs, get some fresh air, take some pictures off the side of the cart there. Don't lean too far over. Don't want you to fall off, but it's a great place to take in that beautiful view here. So the Goldleaf is really a great kind of spacious cart here to be able to enjoy the Rockies. Now, alternatively, we have the Silverleaf. Now, the Silverleaf for us, again, is going to be a custom-built coach just for us. It's going to be single level. You still have those amazing views with big panoramic windows, lots of great spacious seating here. And this is a shot down the middle there. You still see we've got those plush, comfy, reclining chairs, lots of space for moving around and socializing with your neighbors. And you may ask, what do you do for dining on the Silverleaf Car? Well, we bring it straight to you. So we have tray tables that fold out in front of you, and we'll put the white linens down, bring out the china and the flatware, and we'll plate your selections at your seat. So you do. Much more room than on the airplane, which is really nice. Exactly. And I'll tell you, the great thing about the Silverleaf here, especially with the dining, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like broccoli on my plate. And having those plated there for you at your seat, I can say, hey, I don't want broccoli on mine. So you got about, on the Silverleaf, about 2 appetizer choices, 2 to 3 entree choices, and we'll bring that right there to your seat for you. So it's a great way to experience this as well. And again, huge panoramic windows to really take in that scenery. So now, like we talked about, daylight-only train travel, we're going to put you in hotels in between. So make sure to work with your vacation counselor to really see the properties that we partner with so we can get you some great hotels when you're in the Rockies as well as on your overnights on your trains there. Now, the second question you're going to ask yourself is, where do I want to go on the Rocky Mountaineer? Because we do have 3 different train routes, and we're going to go into each of those. But I'll show you this map again. We have 2 routes that go to Jasper and 1 that goes to Lake Louise and Banff, either about a 2 full-day rail route or about a 2.5-day full rail route. So we'll start with our Rainforest to Gold Rush. Exactly what the name implies. It's more about the topography change that you're going to see on this route. You go from lush, wet Vancouver, heading up through Quesnel, which is a site of the Canadian Gold Rush. So as you can hear from that, probably a little more desert and dry. And then we're going to go by way of Mount Robeson to Jasper. Now, Mount Robeson is the highest point in the Canadian Rockies, so it's truly majestic to pass there and see that. So from Vancouver, we'll say, you're going to go up to Whistler. Now, typical train travel is about 10 hours a day, but this particular day going to Whistler, it's about 4 hours. So what's great about it is you get afternoon and evening to enjoy Whistler. Fun, vibrant city. It was the site of the 2010 Winter Olympics, and there's lots of great eateries and shopping there. Shopping is the best because right now Canada's on sale for us because of the exchange rate. Oh. So we get about 30% off. So it's fun to go to little shopping towns. And from Whistler, you'll get back on the train after your overnight. You have a full day of train travel to Quesnel. This is the site of the Canadian Gold Rush, one of the main sites. So you get a little bit of a desert, dry feel to it. It's really just an overnight stop. You'll have some time in the evening to grab a quick bite to eat and maybe go to your hotel and get some rest before taking a full day of train travel to Jasper. Jasper is such a beautiful, quaint town, and I love this picture because it really illustrates the bodies of water, how it just looks like glass. So picturesque, known for having way more wildlife sightings than people sightings sometimes, and I love that about it. And it's just such a quaint, quiet town. Really is a perfect representation of the untouched beauty of the Canadian Rockies. Now, our second route that goes to Jasper is our journey through the clouds, and this is a more direct route to Jasper. And we call it Journey Through the Clouds because we do pass by Mount Robeson, the highest point in the Canadian Rockies. And that picture right there really illustrates that a lot of the times you'll see the peak of Mount Robeson in the clouds, truly. And that'll be you hanging off the side taking a picture from the Goldleaf Car. But this is a 2-day rail route. You're going to go from Vancouver, full day of train travel to Kamloops. Kamloops, again, is a stopover town, but it's a really fun, little vibrant town, really up and coming with their food and beverage scene. So lots of locally sourced restaurants, lots of breweries there in the downtown. In the summer, they have a concert series in the park. So lots of fun things to do there when you get there. From Kamloops, after your overnight, you'll do a full day of train travel heading towards Jasper, of course. So those are the two routes that go to Jasper. Both of those you'll be passing the highest point in the Canadian Rockies, Mount Robeson. And our third and final journey that we do is called our First Passage to the West. And this is a 2 full-day rail route heading to Lake Louise and Banff. Some of our passengers will get off at Lake Louise, and the other passengers about 45 minutes later will get off in Banff. So it's 2 full-day rail route. This particular route is special for a few different reasons, but number one, we're the only passenger train that goes between Kamloops and Banff. So you're truly seeing something you can't see with any other train company in Canada. Also, you're going to go through the spiral tunnels on this little stretch, as well as past the town where the last railroad spike was driven in, connecting eastern and western Canada's rail. So it's truly kind of a historic town to go through as well. So you do a full day train travel from Vancouver to Kamloops. After your overnight in Kamloops, you'll head to beautiful Lake Louise, those beautiful blue waters of Lake Louise, or you'll head to Banff. And I love this picture because to me, Banff is the epicenter of the Canadian Rockies. And this picture truly illustrates how majestic this is. I actually grew up in the South, and I used to go to the Smoky Mountains all the time for vacations. So I thought when I first went to the Rockies, I thought, I've been to mountains. I know what this is like. To call the Rockies mountains is such an understatement. It's truly majestic, and it almost feels like it envelops you and hugs you. And this is truly a shot down downtown Banff, and this is truly a representation of how majestic this area is. So after you've chosen your service level and your route, which there's one more route I want to tell you about. It's our circle journey. Now, we do have these rail routes that tend to be one way. Most people tend to start in Vancouver and take them to the Rockies, or start in the Rockies and take them to Vancouver. But if you want to get the most train time, a circle journey is really the way to go. And this is combining 2 rail routes with a Canadian Rockies land experience in the middle to create almost a round-trip Vancouver. So maybe you would start and do First Passageway to the West, heading into the Rockies, and maybe take one of the routes out of Jasper to head back to Vancouver. So if you're really interested in the train travel portion, getting more time on that, really think about and ask the vacation counselors about circle journeys. It's a great way to see this area. I don't know about you, but when I have so many things on my travel bucket list that when I go to one corner of the world, I want to make sure that I get everything out that I want to see. And this is really one of those ways to do it. So the next question we're going to ask is when to travel. So we only operate between mid-April to mid-October. So about 6 months, but there's still 3 very distinct seasons in that 6 months. You've got spring when you're hitting April, beautiful time to go. You've got snow-capped mountains, lots of wildlife sightings because they're waking up from hibernation, trying to get some food. All of the little bodies of water are very thrushing from the snow melt, so you get that scenery there in the water. But the one thing I will caution about spring is if you're there to see that beautiful water of Lake Louise, it's going to be frozen till probably about end of May. Now, that being said, ice skating on Lake Louise, so cool. But if you want to see those waters on full display, you might want to head more towards summer. Summer's going to have longer days, warmer days. You're going to get to see all those lakes and bodies of water on full display. But one thing I'll caution is Rockies does have quite a few national parks, and you're going to be there with a lot of other tourists. So just like with any mode of summer travel, it tends to be a little busier. So that's the only thing that I would say about a downfall with summer travel, but it's a great time to go as well. But my favorite time to go is autumn. I'm a really big fan of fall foliage, and the scenery in autumn is just incredible. There's actually a tree that's indigenous to the Rockies called the aspen tree, and it turns this unbelievable golden color in the fall. So to see that against the other foliage and the greens and the reds and the oranges, it's just absolutely amazing scenery. You've also got a lot of wildlife sightings. When I went, which was early October, I would probably say about 15 bald eagles. And we saw 2 bears. And just things like that. The wildlife tends to be really abundant then as well. So that's a really great time to go as well. So you've got some choices there. And the last thing you're probably going to need to think about when you head towards the Canadian Rockies is the things you want to do in the destinations. So we put together these packages. We combine the train travel with different types of experiences, land experiences when you get into the Rockies. And the great thing about us is we've gone through, we've vetted these places, we've stayed at the hotels, we've taken the tours, and we know the best things to offer you that are going to complement the amazing time you've had on board the Rocky Mountaineer and make sure that you see everything that you can in the Canadian Rockies. So I'll show you this map here again because that green dotted line, we haven't talked about that yet, but the green dotted line, there is no rail route that goes through that line. So what we do and to have you enjoy that land experience is we connect you via motor coach. So we'll take you on these tours with the motor coaches tours here, or we will set up a self-drive. And that's where we organize the car rentals for you, and we put you in those car rentals. We'll give you your tickets to the national parks and all your tours, and you'll take yourself to them. Now, I'll tell you, it sounds a little scary, but there is one road that goes up to the Columbia Ice Fields. It's called the Ice Fields Parkway. You can't get lost unless you turn into the woods. And there's one road that connects Jasper, Lake Louise, and Banff. It's the Trans-Canadian Highway. Again, unless you turn into the woods, you can't get lost. So this is a great option as well. Now, once you get into the Rockies, if we had more than 20 minutes a day, I could really go into detail some of the amazing things that you can expect to see in the Rockies. But one of my highlights is the Ice Explorer. It's taking that vehicle out on a real glacier. You get out and stand on one, and it's just an incredible experience. Also at the Columbia Ice Fields, they have a big skywalk, a glacier skywalk, a glass bottom platform where you look down into the glacier. So it's just, if you're afraid of heights, that might not be the best, but it's a great experience. We've got things like passes to all the national parks. We've got helicopter tours, gondola tours with amazing aerial views of the Rockies. We even have packages that go out from Vancouver, go out to Vancouver Island, and you can hit up Victoria. Beautiful Bouchard Gardens there. So we've got a lot of different people that we partner with in southwestern Canada, and we can put together just these packages. It's so customizable. Get your wish list together of the Rockies and go to your vacation counselor so we can put those things together for you. So I want to show you a couple of packages. This is packages that we put together. Again, it can be customized once you get into the Rockies, but I want to show you how it all comes together. So the first one is the first passage to the west at your leisure. This particular one, they're going to have a night in Vancouver. You do a 2 full-day rail route getting into the Rockies. In this particular journey, they're going to have 2 nights in Lake Louise, 2 nights in Banff, 1 night in Calgary, And some of the highlighted tours here are going to be the tours up to the Columbia ice fields, where you stand on the real glacier and get to enjoy that in Jasper National Park, or the helicopter tour, that you get to see amazing aerial views of the Rockies. There'll be other things sprinkled in there too. The one thing I want to point out about this is there, where you see that green dotted line area, those are customizable. So maybe you want to spend just one night in Lake Louise and 3 nights in Banff. Maybe you want to spend 4 nights in Banff only. Or maybe you want to go up to Jasper and spend a couple nights before coming back down. These are all customizable when you get into this area. So really take that wish list, take it to your vacation counselor, and let's book you a package that has you seeing everything you want to see there. The last package I'll show you to kind of bring it all together is the Circle Journey. We talked about seeing the most out of the Canadian Rockies. This is a great way to do it. This particular Circle Journey is going to start in Vancouver with a night there, 2 full-day rail route into the Rockies, where this particular package has spending 7 nights in the Rockies with some sprinkled in tours like the Columbia ice fields. Getting back on the train in Jasper for that 2.5-day rail route to Vancouver. So that shows you how that circle works, how you can get 2 pieces of the rail route and an experience in the middle. Again, all customizable when you get to that middle portion. This particular one's about 14 days. So, but again, you know, maybe not with this one so much. I would say the minimum that this one would have to be at least about 6 or 7 days, the minimum for the circle. But the other ones, the minimums could be less than that. So I'll tell you about the promotion that we have going on. We try to add value to your packages for promotions. Rather than saying, I'll give you $100 off or this or that, we try to say, we want to give you extras on your package. So the extras we're adding now until February 7th is actually our 30th anniversary sale. We're adding in a hotel night, a transfer, and a dinner onto your package. Hotel night, to give you a little insider tip, I would recommend spending it in Vancouver. Vancouver's a hot up-and-coming city now. Hotel prices tend to be a little steep. So to have an extra night in Vancouver on us, such a special addition to your package. A transfer will include a private transfer from maybe your arriving airport or your departing airport, just private, just for you and your party. And then a dinner we're going to add on that, which may not seem like a lot. But when you're in Chateau Lake Louise, enjoying that beautiful hotel there, to have a dinner there could be a value of up to 150 Canadian. So it's a really good value, this addition here. So the last thing I'll tell you about, or I'll show you, I should say, is a little bit of my bucket list when I go to the Canadian Rockies, some of my favorite things to do in the Rockies. So thank you so much for coming and listening to me talk about the Canadian Rockies. It's truly a special place, and I'm so glad that I could share a little bit of that with you. Yeah, of course. Do you have any questions I can answer?
How do you do the transfers between the train and hotel?
We take care of everything for you, even down to luggage. So basically, you've set up your hotels with us, maybe starting in Vancouver. We'll do it that way. We will take your luggage from your hotel in Vancouver. You'll see it again at your hotel on your overnight stop after your full day of train travel. And what's great about it is you'll see it in your rooms. So we send the luggage ahead of you, actually. So you just carry a day pack on the train. So maybe if you have medicines, or I suggest to dress in layers on the train, so maybe you'll have an extra jacket in there. But you'll see your luggage again at your hotel room on maybe your overnight stop. Say you're going to Kamloops for your overnight, you'll see it there. Another great thing is we'll hand you your hotel room key either on the train or the motor coach that we'd use to take you to the hotel. So no check-ins. We take care of everything. Logistically, it really works out. We want you to spend your time taking in that scenery, not lugging luggage around. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, because I was thinking, well, if you're staying in one hotel one night, and then you go somewhere, and then the next night,
We take care of that.
it's just a matter of just then you pack where you can
Yes.
stuff and not have
Yes.
spread all over.
And then when you get into the Rockies, maybe you've chosen to have 3 nights in Banff, then you can kind of, unpack that luggage somewhat. So, but we do transfer those things for you. Yeah. It's such a neat place. And I have to tell you, before I started working for the company, Canadian Rockies wasn't on my list. And I'm so glad I started working for the company, because if I would have missed seeing this in my lifetime, I would have been so disappointed. It's such an incredible place.
What is the weather like temperature-wise in the fall?
Of course, when you're in Vancouver and Calgary, it tends to be a little more temperate. I would say similar to here. Actually, here's a little bit warmer than it would be there. But I would say 50s, 60s. But when you're heading into the Rockies, it does get a little cooler. I would say at night, maybe 30s, early 40s, and during the day, maybe 50s would be the high. But spring and fall, especially early spring, late fall, it does tend to be a little cooler when it gets to the Rockies. But I would say, that's why I love to say dress in layers, and bring, at least if you're traveling in that time, bring a puffy jacket. But they make them now where they can basically, scrunch down. One of those is perfect, almost like what you're wearing. That's perfect.
Like how you would go to Alaska.
Exactly. If you've been to Alaska, it's very similar weather to Alaska, except you may get a little bit warmer when you're down in Vancouver and Calgary. But it's very similar to Alaska. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And, a lot of people that have been on Alaska cruises and been to Alaska in general love coming on the Rocky Mountaineer, because those type of people enjoy scenic type vacations. And the Canadian Rockies is truly one of those scenic vacations. So if you've been to Alaska, you'll love going on the Rocky Mountaineer. You'll love it. So.
And so we would, when we go to the hotel, then we would be there in time to go to our room and have dinner.
Yes.
Dinner at
In the towns, off the train.
Hotel.
Yes.
And where around.
Yes, most of the hotel properties we use do have a restaurant inside the hotel. But the great thing about the locations of a lot of our properties that we use is it is walking distance to some other things, so you can enjoy some local cuisine. So maybe in Canada, a restaurant inside your hotel, but if you get out and maybe walk, a couple minutes down the street, you'll be able to enjoy a local cuisine. So.
And we could get that kind of information about what's around there as we talk to her.
Absolutely, absolutely. The questions to ask yourself when booking is what type of train car do you want to travel on? Mm-hmm. When do you want to go, and what route do you want to go on? If we get that down, from there, we can take each of the things. The fourth question would be the destination. So what do you want to do when you get there? Yeah. Once you get those down, we can come up with things on each part of those. Make sure you have all that information. And your vacation counselors are really great about that, putting it all together for you and getting you ready for the trip, too. So that's so important, too.
Oh, yeah.
Getting all the expectations down so you can pack correctly, that you know where you're going, what you're doing. All of that stuff will fall into place after we get those 4 questions answered. So, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so there'll be a test for you all.
Fun, and fun.
Yeah, thank you. Be safe out there.
How far ahead would you suggest booking?
I would say,
Like, say, like fall or end of August into where you finish in October?
I would suggest booking now, especially because we have that promotion just till February 7th. And, availability can book up. We own all of our own train cars in our fleet, so we have a certain amount of train cars. Yeah. So we have to, use those train cars for the departures. But not only that, when you get into the Rockies, the hotels and things like that, those things.
That's right, you have to.
Exactly. So I would say, the main thing is booking when you can get the most out of your booking. And if we're talking about that, book before February 7th so you can get those 3 additions added to your package for fall.